is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission. If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume. If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper. We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur or sharpen it to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to the outer limits.
Good morning, folks.
Tony Caravan.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
Yeah. It's just what you need and not what you don't. Welcome.
You're now in a different continuum than the world you're used to.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
Rock Flux.
Let's get this show on the road.
Sure thing.
Good morning.
Man, is that video eating up the old, you know what. Let's see when we turn it off. We'll go down, back down. Space. The final frontier, my friends. I'm going to join you now as I float across space and time. And I click my mouse because it's kind of acting up a little bit weird. And let's get into this whole thing. Turn that off. CPU's back to about 7.5. I had the air conditioner on this morning, and because the window was open, it rained a little bit, and I had a window open upstairs too. I literally got out of bed way less than an hour ago. I had some cereal. Here's my first sip of coffee. And it's hot. And I don't have a backup on that. I woke up to the cat, as those of us who have cats know. In fact, I have a picture here of just something to put that into perspective. Cat stuff, we're going to call it. Okay. Unload image when not showing. Browse. There we go. Oh, it's doing that thing. This is annoying. Okay, so watch this. I have to go into... Sometimes when you load an image, this isn't a flaw in this open source program. This is a flaw in the Mac computer. Certain images it just puts in sideways, and what you have to do is you have to take them, what I call around. You have to take it around the block and save it. In other words, you have to just like rotate it in one circle, okay? And then at that point, unload image when not showing. That way it saves your thing. And we come back, and as you noticed, it was sideways before, but you'll notice this time. So, this floating cat. That's my cat's favorite food. But anyway, he's been out. I ran out of that yesterday. But that still didn't stop him from kicking out a combination furball or whatever to get me out of bed at 4 a.m. to clean it up. But at least he did it on the hardwood floor as opposed to the rug. Though there was something on like one of the cloth things. You know, it grosses people out who don't have cats, but it's a thing. It's hard as they progress through life. They go through changes and stuff, and I may have to turn the air conditioner back on because it's like hot in here. And I know, and people think I'm an exhibitionist if I take my, shirt off or something. But you just don't understand. This is my house. It's not some studio with people in it and sets and all that, outside sets and stuff. And it's just me, and it's hot in here. And I'm drinking coffee to wake up, so what am I supposed to do? So I may have to take my shirt off. Don't worry, I have something on underneath it. But anyway, as I said, good morning.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah, it's real funny.
Okay.
And she does the same thing every day. Isn't that weird? It's like the guy from the car, right?
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
It's humid. Now, I do believe, I almost sounded like Hannibal there. I do believe I have to go. I'm having dinner with a friend.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
Bye. I'm having an old friend for breakfast. Bye. Well, what we were going to do, and just to get this out of the way, since I talked about it, saying, all right, now you went and talked about it, so now we got to do something about it. This show it's hard to tell what this show is going to be about today, but we're going to try to talk about, first of all, hey, you, forget about it, right? As they say up in Brooklyn and parts of Jersey. Forget about it. Anyway, and we're also going to be dealing with, when I say consciousness is the key, I'm also talking about different, because the mind, is different from the brain. And the mind is consciousness. And then we have our soul, which is some people call consciousness the soul and all of that. And then there's different vibrational levels. And of course, some of that ties into physics, multidimensional life and things. So is this vibrations and different dimensions, perhaps, right? So
you have actually opened the door to another dimension?
Yeah. Another dimension, my friend. But before we get into that kind of heavy stuff for some people, let's deal with this.
The Weather Watch forecast.
All right. Well, what we're going to do right now, and I don't know if this is under climate. We're going to look at a weather map. Okay, this thing was prepared at the end of the day. Well, this is Tuesday's map. Okay, it's valid 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Tuesday. So this is like today what they're kind of saying. We got a little for once in my life, we got a little bit of no, we didn't want to see me. Okay. What we wanted to see was rock flux. So I'm going to turn me off. Well, actually, I'll turn me on. Hey, man, this turns me on. So let's go down to the Gulf. By the way, there's some weird activity going on down here, Gulf-wise. There's a bunch of... So anyway, can I start that again?
The Weather Watch forecast.
Yes'm. All right. Over in, and you know, one thing I don't believe I have here is view. I do not. Let's see if I have anything of that. Sorry. Nope. Siphon client. That's interesting. Color source. Bowser. No. I don't really have a pointer, so I have nothing I can really use. I can't put my mouse on this. All right. But anyway, the key to this thing, and I'm blocking it with, I guess there's no need for us to see the rock flux stuff at this juncture. All right, so I'm just going to put this out of the way. There's a little legend down at the bottom, and it says rain, thunderstorms, rain, severe thunderstorms. And so if you could look at this, and today's date is Tuesday, August 10th, calendar year 2021. And, you know.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And it's a 4:51 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the former United States. But obviously, geographically, America still exists. So you are still an American if you live here and were born here. Last night, in my neck of the woods, there was drizzle. In my neck of the woods at the current time, I stuck myself out for what we call real feel weather. And real feel weather means getting out on the front porch. And it was 72 degrees and damp and muggy. So it's kind of foggy here, and it's in the 70s, and it's going to shoot up to 88, maybe 90 degrees in the overnight. 73, and there's a chance of thunderstorms. And the rest of this week is going to be pretty much high 80s to 90s. The weekend, it might cool down to like the lower 80s, as if that's a cool down. And the nights are just going to be miserable. It's like if you have your window open, nothing really matters. You know, it doesn't matter. So I just thought we'd go over this first because the weather is part of this whole scheme of things that seems to be going on right now. And when I say forget about it, what I'm talking about is most of you are still paying attention to the politics as pop culture and the cult of personality. You poor unfortunates. You poor pathetic people that you actually are still even actually have a television set. Get rid of your, cut your cable, cut your satellite, and just use, if you got a smart TV or get a set-top box, and just watch. There are apps, watch YouTube, watch, I don't know. I'm not been paid by Amazon Prime or anything like that, but, lately I've been able to find a couple of decent movies. Albeit some of them older, because a lot of the new stuff coming out is crap. But as you can see from this map, NOAA and the National Weather Service combined contributed to this thing based upon all sorts of satellite imagery, forecast, and all that sort of stuff. And I guess that TS Kevin isn't a guy's name. That's a tropical storm. TS stands for tropical storm over in the far left corner. And according to some people, and a lot of people aren't into this, but I am because I've been studying it for about 20-some years, is geoengineering. And that thing is heading for California, but it looks like they are taking geoengineering steps to prevent that from hitting California. And likewise, where my head is, my mug here with the old cap on, in this area right now, there's the potential for a couple of hurricanes, but currently they are shooting massive amounts, circulating and just agitating massive amounts of sand from the Sahara Desert, and it's making its way all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. And basically, when you have sand, you don't have hurricanes. But this is unprecedented if you can actually see what's going on. And I'm not a weather. This particular rock flux channel has nothing to do with the weather. I just give you this because it's part of what's happening. It's the scene. This is rock flux. Anyway, so what's going on, just to get you need to be informed of like the real things going on in the world instead of worrying about politics and this and that. There's like this really big, like, we go through waves, it seems, in the media where they, people are kicked down and basically the wind is knocked out of their sails. So the cult of personality, the MAGA folks, were pretty much just, crying in their milk for a while, or basically saying, okay, we'll come back in 2022, 2024. But now they're making a big push, right? And they've got all these promises and videos as if, they're going to, all kinds of stuff's going to happen. All right. Well, it ain't. It ain't. Forget about it. All right? And what I'm about to show you is way more important. And what we're going to talk about today is way more important than that stuff. And I know that's hard to get through your thick skulls. All right? But, deal with it. You want to leave? Leave. I don't care. Nobody watches the show anyway. I do this for myself and I do it for posterity because there's going to come a time in the not so distant future where these shows will be seriously paid attention to. And excerpts from them and stuff I've said is going to be like studied over and looked over with a fine-tooth comb. In between all the nonsense and the fun and games, it's a morning show, so I have some fun and games here. But, if you watch these things that, the vast majority of these things are matter-of-factual and serious discussions. We just happen to have a little bit of fun. We're not afraid to laugh. We're not afraid to do some crazy stuff. But anyway, where you see all those like kind of green, and I don't know how they're coming over on your screen, but they're probably coming over as dots. That's rain. And we needed the rain big time. Rain and thunderstorms. So as you can see in the Midwest, sort of Midwest, Michigan, Indiana, northern Missouri, getting into Ohio, up there, the Great Lakes, heading over east, where most patterns go west to east, though, we've seen exceptions with that due to solar activity and our weakening magnetic field and the earth changes that are going on now that have, by the way, have nothing to do with 0.004 CO2. CO2 is not even a factor in any of this stuff. Any of it. Okay? Any of it. There's more going on with this geoengineering that's damaging this planet than anything you could imagine. And geoengineering is basically the stuff that's being done by the people who think they are the rulers of the planet and they know better. And you do not mess with Mother Nature. And that's what they're doing. They're messing with Mother Nature. How are things in Guadalajara? I just saw that down there in Mexico way. Well, anyway, expect to see some geoengineering so that TS Tropical Storm Calvin that is heading for Los Angeles and the California, the Baja area there. They're going to block that. Okay? They have that technology. It's the year 2021. Okay? You could find papers and documents and dating back to the 60s. Companies like Union Carbide and other companies you're not even aware of that actually have websites. You can call them on the phone and say, hey, I wanted to rain over my my fields and hire them, right? It's the same as they're still doing, with airplanes. They're still basically, even though they're not supposed to be doing it, they're still spraying stuff. And I could show you videos of this stuff, but other people do. And you get a life, like I say. Instead of watching TV and the nightly news, why don't you go on YouTube and look around and watch some of these guys who have the actual footage? Many of them former pilots, right, or people who were involved in this stuff who actually have footage of the stuff coming out of the airplanes and things. And I'm not talking about like so-called chemtrails. I'm talking about these added jets, like, these things that are on the bottom of the planes that shoot out this stuff. It's like crop dusting, but they're on jets and they're on, massive planes, and they're still doing that for insect control, and they're putting out other chemicals that cause all kinds of damage to us, crops, and the environment. They're the ones messing with Mother Nature. But I want you to stay tuned, because this is going to be more of a show about some things on a different plane, all right? A different vibrational level, a different dimension, okay? Let me play that again. By you tuning into here.
You have actually opened the door to another dimension?
Yeah, another dimension. He's right. So we're just going to get through this. I may have to turn the air conditioner on or take my clothes off. I mean, either or. I don't know. It's fucking hot in here. Excuse the language. Son of a. So it looks like the better part of the eastern part of the U.S. is going to be getting some much-needed rain. I mean, I hope. I really hope. I've been using the hose to water my garden every day. I've gotten a good fairly decent tomato yield. In other words, I've got more tomatoes than I can eat. I have a couple of zucchinis, which is better than I had last year. But what I need is a good deluge so they could balloon out a few more of those stuff so I could have, some more plenty. But I've got peppers and beans, string beans, zucchinis. I even get some garlic drying in my greenhouse, which I could probably bring into the house. I've been collecting my own seeds so people can't screw with me and I don't have to worry about buying something that may be GMO. And like I say, tons of tomatoes and peppers, that sort of thing. That's what you ought to do too. I just have a backyard, some raised gardens basically. It's not hard to do. You plant a seed, a thing grows. You water it and a thing grows. You just make sure you have some half-decent soil. And you don't have to get crazy like you see these people on YouTube, that say, oh, you need 1 part this, 1 part compost, 1 part this, and make sure you do this every 30 days and this, that, the other. It's like, yeah, you can do all that stuff, and I guess you could get some kind of perfect garden, maybe not, because sometimes I've done it perfectly and it just didn't happen that way anyway. I found that you just get some decent soil, okay? You can't use the same soil every year. You got to add soil every year. You've got to keep it watered, and then it also happens to do with the temperature. If it's like things like tomatoes and stuff, if it's too hot, they kind of don't grow. If it's too cold, they don't grow, Things like lettuce. I had so much lettuce this year that I basically, a lot of it ended up bolting. I gave away bags and bags of it. I ate more salads and sandwiches and stuff with lettuce than you can imagine. I just couldn't consume it all. But that's a cooler weather crops. Once it gets hot, the stuff just goes to seed. Anyway, so what we need is an all-day rain here and a good old-fashioned thunderstorm. So I'm hoping those yellow stripes, that's severe thunderstorms, but if they work their way east, chances are I'm like I said, I'm near the a mile away or an hour away from the entrance of the northern Appalachians, so I'm surrounded by mountains. The thunderstorms aren't that severe here, but a good heavy dousing. So that's your kind of forecast there. It's going to be basically pretty much in the 90s in the better part of the United States. The desert areas in the Southwest, they sometimes call this monsoons when it rains there. But they're deserts, and it rains for a while. And they fill up their water catchment things, some of these people you see on YouTube. And, and they're happy campers. But nonetheless, let's not forget, Los Angeles is a desert. California is a desert. There's a Mojave Desert to get across to that spot. And Arizona, New Mexico, this is all desert land. Nevada is deserts. We forget that far too often. And when they talk about droughts, they're full of it. You don't have a drought in a desert. A desert is a desert. A desert by definition is drought. All right? That's how it got that way. So, yeah. So I hope this helps you get an idea of wherever you are, even if you're up there in Vancouver or Montreal. All right, you got a pretty good idea of what's going on. So it's
The Weather Watch forecast.
Yeah, that's the Weather Watch forecast. We call it climate in these parts, and then we move this thing back down into reality. I'm hanging out over here in space. I've got my CPU way down again. And, see what happens if I do this. Go to properties. Cancel. And, space video. There we are. So what do you think of that? Space. Uses a lot of CPU energy up. That surrounds us. We are surrounded by space. You understand that? Stars. I mean, they've got the sky so messed up between the city lights and the buildings and then all of the geoengineering they do, and you can barely even see the sky these days. But nonetheless, that's part of our existence is space. We'll turn that off and we'll come back into the full picture here. My screen, video capture device under rock flux and text. And there you have it.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And you're looking at him too. And he's about to be shirtless, I'm telling you, man. It's hot. What are you supposed to do? See, I have this massive air conditioner in this tiny room that was formerly a barber shop. And if I turn that on, it's very noisy. I'll have to get up a couple of times, and I don't really think I want to do that. And I'll tell you, with or without this shirt on, which I'm going to take off. And you can see how crappy this shirt is. This is my farmer shirt I have on underneath here. This muscles, I know those muscles look kind of weird when they're bent like that, but that's just because there's no tan underneath the arm. So I apologize for if you see a little bit of flesh and that offends you, but believe me, I wish I had a fan. I have actually a battery fan in the other room, but the whole purpose of taking the shirt off was that I didn't have to get up. Anyway, we'll fill this with enough stuff so you don't have to worry about looking at me. Hey, you. Forget about it. Forget about it. And you can see how the fellow with the green is basically perspiring as well. We're heading towards the end of the dog days of summer. All right. This is natural. It's not unnatural for the planet. The only thing unnatural for the planet is this geoengineering. I'm trying to get more comfortable. But we have no control over that as basically being controlled, as serfs in this totalitarian state we live in. But what I'm trying to say is consciousness is the key. That's the title of this show. And for all this other stuff, forget about it. You see? Forget about it. You have no influence over these things. And what is it about people that, that they repeatedly, I don't even want to say it, but I'm going to say it. The definition of sanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? So you're going to try to save America, put in the cult of personality guy who was in before, and you're going to expect a different result. Think about it that way. Maybe no one explained it to you that way. Save America campaign is the pure definition of insanity. That's not to say that the Build Back Better people aren't clinically, insane, and that the people involved with the Great Reset in the World Economic Forum aren't psychopaths. Do you understand? All of these things can be true simultaneously. All right? But you're not going to save America, okay? Forget about it. All right? It's the definition of insanity. It didn't happen before, and this time these guys have been in now. All right? So if you think under the previous, political, whatever you want to call them, cartel, cabal, right? If you think they laid the groundwork and had all these people planted in there, to basically put, the kibosh on anything that was attempted, imagine if there was a change in 2024 or 2022. Did you get it? In other words, there's nothing. This is over. And you need to get that through your thick skull. You really do. And you need to focus on your consciousness, life, your soul experience. The whole idea of what consciousness is and what the space, right? The universe, various dimensions, the vibrations. I mean, even particle physics deals with vibrations, right? Things vibrating, string theory, right? Modern science kind of supports this sort of thing. But you don't need science, You've got your own consciousness. Now, if you don't have, if you're an unconscious person, when I say unconscious, I mean without consciousness, not unconscious as in, out cold or in a coma, But, in your mind, what I'm saying or what's going on, you're like,
this is a nightmare. Must be a nightmare.
In my mind,
This is insane. This is insane.
But I'm moving away from all of that stuff now. Okay? I've seen the light. you know? And the fact of the matter is, you know, it's not even worth talking about anymore. You know, I've said all I had to say. You just have to look at some of my videos. If you're willing to spend the 2 hours, and sometimes the first half hour, the first hour even, you know, it takes a while to just for the mind to get where I want it to get to. You know, but by the end of these things, there's, you know, and I hate to say it, but there's pure enlightenment there. You know, and am I tooting my own horn? I don't know. I need to get some of that cat stuff. I need to get some of that cat party mix, but I don't like this idea of this morning cat upchucking. In my boudoir. It's craziness. The Rock Flux mug matches the logo. You won't buy one. There's a video floating around on the internet from Rand Paul that's basically calling for civil disobedience. It's getting a lot of mileage. It's going to be in the news today, I'm sure. It was in the news yesterday. I don't mean TV news necessarily. I mean all the channels, you know, that are holding on to save America type of channels. And, of course, the critics on the Build Back Better, you know, I mean, that's just a lie. That's just, I mean, that's pure, that's a theatrical, you know, bait and switch, like kind of magic show lie, you know, sleight of hand, that sort of thing. Talked about that before. You know, they're just messing with people. You know, and you have to basically realize that they cannot affect your, and this is going to sound like, you know, woo-woo to you, but they cannot affect your eternal existence unless you like allow them to, like totally destroy you so much that you end up with like a blackened soul, so to speak. I know this sounds a little bit different than some of the things that we've talked about before, but you know, there comes a time where you have to get into, you know, these kinds of things, which are reality. Even with this shirt off, I'm ready to turn the air conditioner on. That's how hot it is in this freaking room. Man. It's the humidity, you know. It's the humidity. 5:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's already in the 70s. Outdoors, in the house, it's got to be in the 80s. It's got to be 80-something in here. And humid. Whew. It's a heat wave. Linda Ronstadt when she was a doll. Heat wave. I mean, you know. We all get old. We all have problems and stuff like that. But, you know, you still admire somebody when they were at their best, you know. Man, she is such a doll. I love beautiful women. But I like all women, you know. It's like that song. You remember that song from the 70s? Hi, my name's Tony, and I like all women of the world. Yeah. It's the truth, though, you know. Women are interesting creatures, you know. I mean, there's some nasty ones out there. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of nasty guys. But, you know, for the most part, So why am I talking about all this stuff? What are, I'm not gonna like change your mind. I'm not gonna open your mind, am I? You're not gonna forget about it, are you? You're not gonna, the logic that I'm trying to explain about the definition of insanity. What is the guy who was in before, the current guy, going to do if he got in again? When you understand, it's going to be the country. First of all, most people are saying like, well, we'll even get to 2022, let alone 2024. I mean, there's so much weird stuff going on. And, I've been watching this stuff about this thing that nobody wants to talk about or whatever, and these various changes it has taken. And in particular, I was watching a South Korean doctor, prominent guy who's like a non-political, pretty much straight ahead, straight shooter, doctor. And, this is going to sound like a big change, too, to some people who maybe watch my show who have taken things perhaps taken things in the wrong way. But he was saying, man, this thing's only like half over. The thing. And that, there's worse times ahead. I don't think I have it on my my computer here. Check. No. Let me just try one other word. I don't even have anything close to it. Wow. That song Fell on Dark Days, right? And it's like, yeah. We've fallen on dark days right now. And what you have to do is you've got to find a way to, sorry if this makes a noise. I'm trying to point this so I could like kind of get in a more comfortable position. But, you have to find a way to get through these dark days. And there are darker days ahead. This just happens to be the time that we're in. Now, all of that said, then you can also, this idea, forget about it, is that you can, and this is going to sound a bit new agey or something like that, but you can also look to the light, all right? And think in terms of your consciousness as opposed to your biological bioelectric brain jello mold. Your eternal soul, if you will, right? And the idea of this vibrating universe, existence, dimensions, different levels of being. And just maybe even focus on something as simple as the word happiness, like the pursuit of happiness. Because if you clear all the clutter out of your head, and that's all this is, they're just clouding you with clutter. And they're totally messing, they're messing with Mother Nature, but the problem with that is that Mother Nature always wins because, they don't even understand how big the planet really is. And I think you don't understand how big the planet is. Many of you. The concept of the sheer size of this thing. that we're hurling through space on. The spaceship Earth, basically, being dragged by the sun. As I say, at speeds you cannot even conceive. Beyond belief. Right? And, you know, when you put things in perspective and you put your life in perspective and you look at these fools, these several thousand people that I try to tell you that are trying to rule over 8 billion people on the planet and are trying to do everything they can to alter weather patterns, right? And create disasters that feed into their narratives that feed into them having this totalitarian power. You understand that? What they don't understand is that you can temporarily mess with something, but it's going to go back into its form. It's like mixing, you know, oil and water, or mixing, you know, any kind of things that don't mix. All right? That you can shake it up and do whatever you want to, but when you let it sit, it's going to go back to its natural state. All right? Unless you're involved in some sort of weird thing where you're dealing with at a molecular level, atomic level or something, and you alter, right? You alter the very, you know, nature of, you know, what those things that, you know, the composition of the materials that you're messing with. Well, they're not going to alter, they have no ability to alter the composition of the planet. All right? What they're doing is shaking up oil and water, you know, in a plastic container, okay? Or they're shaking up two things that don't mix. And every time they do it, the things mix and it causes, you know, havoc, wreaks havoc. And people get all bent out of shape. And it supports their narrative and people are suddenly frightened. Just like, it's like the idea, the sleight of hand, the magician, just playing head games with people. But ultimately, it goes back to its natural state, and reality is reality. And so these people can mess around all they want to, but they're not going to affect the planet. The planet is going to be here when they're gone, when we're all gone. All right? And the planet has survived many a cataclysm, let alone these man-made cataclysms that they're messing with right now. About 3 or 4 days from now, I'll have a coffee machine. That'll be neat. The Nights of Neat. I know, I'm a goofball. Thank you very much. It's very hot in here. It's very hot in here. Forget about it. I'm not going to pretend that I have the answers that are going to give you the path to eternity, right? Salvation for your eternal soul, right? The ultimate, you know, way of getting in touch with your consciousness, you know, being able to defeat the programming, indoctrination, and conditioning that you've been put through your entire life, basically, or like I said yesterday, at least half of most people's lives, since the life expectancy of people in places like the U.S. now is in their 50s or low 60s. Because of these people. that have, are just poisoning everything. And then stressing you out, and you're looking for some guy to come and save you, some political figure, cult of personality that is, that is not going, it's just, politics does not exist when a corporatocracy has taken over. And in a totalitarian state, no civilization has ever risen after it fell. And the U.S. has fallen. I mean, I understand this like outrage and this craziness and people trying to fight back and all of this stuff. Even Rand Paul's video, some of these things are almost inspirational, right? And it gives you that feeling, Some people probably get goosebumps from that thing. Right? But you have to understand it's not going to make a difference. It's just simply not going to make a difference. That's not defeatism. That's facing reality. There's a big difference. Okay? Big difference. And one could argue, was it ever important, this whole political thing, to begin with? If life is not about that to begin with. And that's why I was trying to talk about the micro versus the macro yesterday, It's like, what is your problem? Like you have to deal with yourself, your own happiness. If you are unhappy, why is some guy, some billionaire somewhere, or some demented guy, or some European billionaire, old world order psychopath who's got, delusions of grandeur? Why are any of these people, right, in this unholy triangle, like I call it, right? Is warped triumvirate, right? Because they're all so intertwined. It doesn't really matter. You have to accept that. You want to be, you want to pick sides. Well, guess what? It's a triangle. So there is no, you're picking a side of a triangle. It's not team sports the way they play it in the U.S. All right. In the U.S., it's like you're left, right, red, blue, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, or something like that. That's nonsense, man. You're missing the old world order, who's at the top of the pyramid. You don't get it. And those guys pull the strings of both, your opposing teams. You get that? And what I'm trying to tell you is that entire triangle, right, pyramid is meaningless. It's meaningless in your life. It's meaningless. First of all, you can't take it with you. Well, I want to give it to my kids. They can't take it with them either. And are they happy? There's too many people living in too big of houses, driving too big of cars, with too many appliances, too many pairs of shoes, too many clothes, and too many gadgets right now. That's the real problem. Consumerism is what destroyed this civilization. All right? That's what destroyed this civilization. People wonder why past civilizations, they don't, well, where's records of all this stuff? Where's all their stuff? They didn't have stuff. Don't you get it? They were smart enough. They had no need for stuff. They had what was necessary to be happy, to make love, right? To converse, communicate. Right? They lived on a beautiful planet, a beautiful world. Right? They could look up at the stars at night. They could see the sunrises and sunsets. They could look at the trees, the flowers, the plants. They could taste unbelievable. It's like the tomatoes I grow. Every time I chop one up to make a sandwich or something, there's always that top part left, which I leave a little bit extra on because these are big tomatoes. And I just take about, I go around, circle around where where it was connected to the plant. And I just take, about 4 or 5 bites around that thing. And it's like eating this unbelievable fruit, because that's what tomatoes are, fruit after all. I mean, don't you get it? You got 5 senses. Why do you think you have 5 senses? You wouldn't have them otherwise. It's the senses define you. Just like any organism or anything on the planet. A thing is what a thing is. All right? And it's defined by its nature. Right? And nature. Its nature and nature. Everything has a purpose. Right? And so what are you doing? What are you doing? Right? It's like, putting on a virtual reality headset when you have eyes. Right? It's like people wanting to create the ultimate AI sex doll or something. Did you ever hear of the opposite sex or just having sex with another person instead of a plastic doll? And that's what's going on right now. There's some people that might seem shocking. That's like, check out YouTube, man. That's like a big thing. In Japan, in China, they used to have the space race. They have the races on between Japan and China to see who can create the more perfect artificial sex companion with AI that they can converse with and basically fuck. That's what's really going on. That's how crazy. That's the ultimate way in which this consumerism society, this materialistic society has gone down. If you don't like to hear those words and you don't like to hear this kind of stuff, well, there's nobody listening anyway, so it doesn't matter. That's what's going on. These neighborhoods with lawns. I mean, it's insane. It's insane.
This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane.
The epitome of existence. Right? The ultimate achievement is to have a neighborhood and to have a job where you can afford a sit-down mower. Who wants to push that thing? I say aluminum siding houses sometimes, but I keep forgetting. I have an aluminum sided house. My house is old. But these are basically, plastic siding, for all practical purposes. I mean, polymers or some sort of, fused materials created as cheaply as possible, available in various colors that'll appeal to people. To their superficial lives, a superficial coating over top of their house on their perfect manicured lawn, their multi-car garage. And so they could proudly walk out their front door and have their neighbors see them get into their overpriced SUV after a well-manicured lawn weekend. And the only bit of any kind of nature, real nature, is some plants, some flowers that they've planted in a flower bed, which they manicure themselves as well. I've actually had that, which is the which I don't know if I have anymore. I think I might have gotten rid of it. No, that's my natural. See, that's natural growth. That's what happens when you just let stuff grow. You get the various colors and different things. I didn't plan any of that crap. Just grew. That's way behind. I am behind my times. Get a Rock Flux mug. Hey, you. Morning show. Rock Flux mug. But do you really grasp what I'm trying to tell you? This idea. That none of this stuff matters. Like, you have no idea what I was showing you before. When I was talking about the Sahara sand that they're stirring up, shooting across the Atlantic. And I forgot to mention there's spores in that. And those spores are getting on people's houses and in the ground. These are spores from another continent. All right? And there's all sorts of microscopic bacteria and everything else tied in with this tremendous amount of sand. I mean, there's a sand wave. You can see these satellite pictures of this sand that cover the entire Atlantic Ocean from the Sahara Desert all the way over Florida into the Gulf and the southeast United States. And it's bringing with it all the spores, bacteria, virus, whatever else. I mean, it's insanity. And the volume of it. And then it's falling in the oceans and affecting aquatic life. This is geoengineering. And then on the West Coast, they're messing with these fuels. This bunker fuel oil. Did you ever look that up? The stuff they do, they dump and they spray. The effects it has, it's responsible for 14 million cases of childhood asthma a year. You can look that up on Wikipedia. I mean, it's literally killing people. This geoengineering. And you don't even know about it. Because they don't cover it on the news. Because that's what they do. These are the things they do. So that they can alter things and they could support their narratives to maintain power and control over you. Because they're sick, demented psychopaths. They want to poke and prod at you. And ultimately they want to kill you. They don't want you. You're taking up space. You're in the way. Remember that movie with John Candy, and he was at the beach, and he ended up meeting this like pirate type guy who had a boat. You know, they were selling seafood out of it, and he entered some race, and he goes into like the country club, the boating country club type boating club, And the way the guy talked down to him and used the word tourist as if it was like, profanity, right? Renter. Remember that movie? I forget what it was called. You know what I'm talking about. You must have seen it. If you didn't, you know what? You're fucking a loser because you don't even, your pop culture to you has been politics instead of pop culture. Because that's another thing what life's all about. But that's how they look at you. Renter, right? You will own nothing and you will be happy. Yeah, you're going to be a renter. Well, who's going to own things? Somebody's going to have to own it because, you're not going to live in your house for free. BlackRock is buying up entire neighborhoods right now. Okay, that's what's going on. You know about that? You probably don't know about that. And that's being funded by the bankers, central bankers. And you know what money they're using? They're just pulling money out of thin air. I'm laughing at you because you don't even know this stuff. They're buying up neighborhoods all over this country. And they're not going to be reselling those houses. They're going to be making them rental units. And you are going to be the renter in that John Candy movie. All right? By some ruling elitist type of asshole who's going to look at you as renter. All right? You fools. Knaves and fools. You shouldn't insult your viewers. Why not? You got to wake people up. All right? There's nothing worse. There's nothing better than someone calling you out. Because the first step is that, you're in denial, you're pissed off, you might even take a fist and, punch them. But when you go home, sober up, or wake up the next day, it's in your brain. And you realize that fucking guy was right. So that's what I'm doing. Wake the fuck up, man. That was yesterday's card. This one is forget about it. After you wake up, forget about it. Forget about all this nonsense. Crappy cold coffee. What does politics have to do with anything? You don't know what's going on. These people are just messing with you, trying to kill you off, or basically bring back the feudal system like on steroids. Let they're going to be the landowners, they're going to be the property owners. And you think, oh, well, I have retirement money. I have this nice house with 3-car garage. I have this, I have that. Yeah, and you're going to have to pay taxes. Because they're going to raise your taxes. They're going to say your house isn't green. And until you spend an extra $40,000 to make it green, you're going to be fined, a couple of $1,000s a year. That's part of the Green New Deal. Nobody told you about that one, did you? That's a $3 trillion bill. You think this infrastructure bill had something like 2,700 pages or some ridiculous amount of pages in it? It's like most bills go through Congress. You can't even read them. All right? Well, you should see the crap that's in the Green New Deal. The next one coming up. Yeah. And nobody you're watching Fox News and MSNBC and the networks and these YouTube channels that are trying to sell you, save America and the swamp's being drained and people are being arrested and Hillary Clinton is going to finally face the music, and you've got goosebumps when you heard Rand Paul's video. Forget it, man. You don't It doesn't matter. Forget about it. It's all bullshit. Both sides. Because it's the upper rung that are ruling now. It's a corporatocracy, man. Don't you see? The old world order has seized power again. There's no taking it away from them. Some may argue that they've always been in power all along, and all this has been just a kind of a charade. You know, pacify the people of the planet to let them believe they had some sort of freedom. Give them a little wiggle room around, you know. Let them build their little houses and stuff like that and build out this thing because we don't want to do it, so let's let them do it. It's like people who get pigs. This is a real horrible, sad thing, all right? But people get these pigs, and they're nice to them, and they pet them on their little noses and heads, and the pigs love them. This is a sad story. And they feed the pigs some feed and then their garbage, and the pigs are happy. And so the pigs just eat all this brush, bramble, or whatever they call it, right? And clear these fields, right? And so they move the electric fence where they keep these pigs, and so that they, you know, eat up all this poison, because poison ivy doesn't affect pigs. And so the pigs eat up the poison ivy, this bramble, this brush, whatever you want to call it, clear another field, another pasture that they need, all right? Meanwhile, getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And these people, like, you know, some of them even name the pigs, and they pet them on their heads, and the pigs are so happy, and this little curly tail wags like a dog's tail when the farmer comes to give them a bucket of feed and some extra water. They knocked over their water bowl. And after they cleared enough bramble and brush and poison ivy and opened up this new pasture, then they slaughter the pig. Yeah. They slaughter the pig. Pigs. And what do you think you are? See, why would the old world order want to build up, go through the trouble, waste their money, their efforts, all this stuff? No, they gave you this wiggle room, and they let you eat the poison ivy. They let you clear all the brush and bramble. They threw you their table scraps, right? You know, and it's like these farmers, sometimes they'll build them a nice little sheltery place, make so, you know, something to keep them. I know some I've seen that even had these, let them go into the barn so they have shelter from the inclement weather, and throw down some hay and stuff so they have a nice soft bed. Make their life comfortable while they serve their purpose. And then they slaughter them, and they eat them as bacon and, you know, pork chops and whatnot. And that's what the World Economic Forum, Davos set, Great Reset, that's what the old world order, not the new world order. Forget about that Alex guy and all those idiots. The Illuminati. There's nothing wrong with the Illuminati. The Illuminati's your friend, your best fucking friend. They're the people trying to tell you the truth about the ancient ways, all these secrets that have been kept and hidden in the Vatican archives and stuff. You fools. It's like the Rosicrucians. They're trying to share this information with you. But you're like you're so your brain is like so twisted that you've actually been like, you're believing the crap that's coming to you from the old world order as if there's some new world order, and as if the Masons are the enemy and the Illuminati's the enemy. Those are the people who are trying to tell you, hey, man, you know, there's this is the way we've been preserving the ancient knowledge. We're trying to tell you the truth about these fucks. So you're a pig. I mean, I don't know how many times on this show I've done this. And I've said you're just cattle on their tax farms and consumer farms. But no, you're like a pig, man. And so now you built out their world, right? You took care of all this kind of stuff. And so now they're ready to take you to the slaughter. And that's what happened in the last year and a half. And like this doctor from South Korea was explaining, we haven't seen the worst of it yet. No, sir. No, sir. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, it is pathetic. The information and I impart on this show to you, and you just like sit there or people don't even watch it. Unfucking believable. You're not a cow anymore. You were at one time. You are a pig. Okay? You are a pig. Clearing fields. All right? Doing the dirty work. Rolling around in slop. Eating table scraps. Giving some creature comforts. Right? Like that word, creature comforts, along the way. That's your neighborhood. Your little house and your little SUV and your little tiny smartphone and the new Apple iPhone 13 or the Samsung phone or whatever. Your little creature comforts. You stupid idiot. You're getting ready to be slaughtered. You're being used by the old world order. They just figured it was much better to have you do the dirty work. Why do they want to get their hands dirty when they could be on their yacht toasting and laughing at you? Look at these pigs. Look at these fools gobbling up this stuff we throw at them. Look at them with their little smartphones we threw at them. Table scraps. Look at them with their creature comforts with the little bales of hay we put down for them to lay their heads on. Look at them in their little wagon. Driving around. Playing with their little toy we threw in there. Bouncing a little ball around. You fools. You have no idea. You have no idea. Everything you know is wrong. Okay? Everything you know is wrong. You think I have that up there on over there? Over there. I can't see. Yeah. This frickin' goddamn thing. Over here. Fuck you. Man, I fucking goddamn technology sucks. The fucking garbage they thrown at us, this table scraps, don't even fucking work. Yeah. I got to hydrate myself to stay alive. Because they're trying to kill us off, man. Trying to kill us off. They're ready to send billions of us to the slaughterhouse. And the ones that remain are going to be, you will own nothing and be happy. You're just going to be the pure slave class that they've always wanted. And you're so foolish and you wasted and squandered your entire life that you're not going to be able even to make it to the next level, the next vibration, right? To have your consciousness, your soul, to actually escape this fucking hell. soul trap, this reincarnation loop. And you know, so they could like just keep sucking the loosh out of you. Man, you don't get it. You really don't get it. You know? You don't get it. Yeah. People should have ran for the hills when they first heard this. That was the beginning of the end. And you think it's one of the greatest things ever. You fools. You were sitting around like...
This calls for some big scratching.
Man. Instead, these guys are like...
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
Yeah. You don't get it. You know that little like clip? Like you get control of this. The dissertation I just gave, you know, should be preserved for time immemorial. Well, at least through the next cataclysm. I laid it out for you, you know, but you don't care.
Why are you telling us this?
Because it's the fucking truth. Everything you know is wrong. You're a pig. Okay? That's all you are. You're pork. All right? Soon to be bacon and pork chops. You're being used to clear pastures for the old world order. And the enemy and you, the people who you think are the enemy are the people who are trying to help you all along. That's what I mean. Everything you know is wrong. And you don't know what you don't know. And meanwhile, you're living in a world.
Your papers, please.
Fools. Knaves and fools, you know? Knaves and fools. My CPU's up to 9.1. It should be down around 6. So, you know, forget about me trying to stay, you know, cool. It's like I still need to put the air conditioner on. I'll talk for a little while. If the CPU gets too high, we'll just cut the show off, cut the show short. I gotta laugh, man. I gotta laugh. You know, you're thinking, oh, it's, you know, I don't know. I've been doing this for so fucking long. I've been trying to explain people this shit for so fucking long that it's starting to get fucking, you know, laughable. All these frickin' books I've written. You could see the tail end of them there. Right here. See where that thumb is? See my thumb? Gee, you're dumb. It's in books. It's in 50 fucking beat poetry tracks. It's in hundreds of videos like this. Consecutive, 7 days a week. And all I see on YouTube and anywhere I look are people still caught up in the cult of personality and watching politics as pop culture. And worrying about buying shit. And living in a certain house with and accumulating all kinds of shit. You're fucking cattle, you're pork to them. And so maybe there's one person out there watching this at some point later and says, okay, all right, I'm listening. So what do I do? Simple. Forget about it. Forget about them. Don't pay attention to them. Forget about all that shit. Focus on yourself, happiness, life. Right? It's not an easy thing to do. See, you're taking a cop out. You can't find a companion. You can't find someone to love. Really love. A soulmate. Right? You're not having a full sensory experience with your five senses. All right? You're deprived of something. Okay? You're unable to connect. Your consciousness is like your soul. You have a blackened soul or something. You know, you're programmed. Your bioelectric brain is programmed, indoctrinated, conditioned. Right? Your propaganda is the only reality you know. Well, you need to forget about all that shit, that crap, clear out the clutter, shake your fucking head like a dog shakes off fleas, and just forget about politics and politicians and the news media. And you know what I mean? And these apps and shit. It's not life. It didn't even exist 15 fucking years ago. Less than that for most people. 10 years for most people. Don't you get that? How could you have fucking something on my arm? How could you have that be a thing, be the center of your life that didn't even fucking exist 10 or 15 years ago? And to be obsessed with it. Politics was not even a big deal back then. Nobody gave a shit. All right? I lived and worked in D.C. and I didn't give a fuck about politics. You know? I used to go to the Hawk and Dove, politicians, senators, you know, different people, you know, political figures, lobbyists and shit like that, be hanging out there. You know, and our conversations weren't about that. Our conversations, I was like picking up the girl next to me at the bar. Having dinner. Going to Smithsonian and checking out shit. Right? People are fucking lost their fucking minds, man. You need to do 3 things. You need to A, lose the cult of personality. And that means forget about Save America, forget about Build Back Better, forget about the Great Reset, that unholy fucking triangle. All right? And everything that any of those knaves and fools are fucking promising you, which is turning you into a knave and a fool if you fucking fall for it. And you need to forget about politics. Completely. Completely. Totally. Completely. Absolutely. You know? And move on. And realize that you have 5 senses and start focusing on that. And just get out of the way of this corporatocracy, man. Don't get yourself so caught up in it. You know? They want to have their tentacles around you. When the time comes, they're just using you to clear the fucking fields and prepare the way for them to have total... Look, you either are going to be an obedient servant of your new masters, the World Economic Forum, all right? You're either going to be an obedient servant. I don't care. You're thinking, I make 6 figures. I make 7. I made $1 million last year. So fucking what? These guys are multi-billionaires. Don't give a fuck about $1 million. They can fucking spend $1 million on a weekend, you know, on vacation, or lose it in, you know, a casino. And that's no skin off their back. All right? You're nothing to them. I'm a millionaire. I'm a Bitcoin millionaire. You're nothing. You're a fucking peon, you fucking dope. You idiot. You're a servant. All right? You're a servant, eating table scraps, clearing fields for them, getting, and the rest of everybody else, well, we're just going to all be offed. All right? Sent to the slaughter. What do you think they've been doing the past year or so? Hey, I've come around full circle. I've had some eye-opening things. Yeah, we're being killed off. Yeah, we're being killed off. And they're fucking up things so much right now that's at a scale that you have no idea. That's why I'm saying everything you know is wrong and you don't know what you don't know. You have no idea what they're doing. They're doing things that are fucking out of control right now. I'm talking about poisoning type of things. Yeah. They're basically poisoning us. And forget about poisoning the planet and CO2 and all that happy horse shit. No. The planet will survive. The planet adjusts. It's an ecosystem. It's a big, big, giant ecosystem. It's had cataclysms, from time immemorial. And the planet is measured, its lifespan is measured in something we call deep time, beyond your wildest expectations or anything you can conceive. In other words, when the next cataclysm comes, which is any day now, just trying to get comfortable here. See my tan line. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. When the next cataclysm comes along, it could be anywhere from 400 years to 1,600 years until the planet recovers from it. But in deep time, that's nothing. It's nothing to the planet. And then the planet will be this beautiful green place, right? Full of life. And then the next civilization will work its way up. And once it reaches 10,000 years or so, getting close to the 12,000 year cycle, it'll be destroyed. Through the natural order of things. Though, like I say, if you go back, this is going to really woo-woo you. But there have been previous civilizations that weren't so stupid as ours. See, we're one of the dumbest civilizations that's ever existed on the planet Earth. I mean, there's civilizations that go back, in these 12,000 year cycles, 36,000 years ago, 72,000 years ago, and farther, that rose much higher than we did and almost beat this thing. All right? Almost beat this thing. Had a way to their attempt was, this is going to blow your fucking minds, but why not? Nobody listens to anything I say anyway. Those obelisks that are found all over the world, not just in Egypt, the things that look like the Washington Monument to the morons who never left the, U.S. or whatever. Those things are all over the fucking place. Just like there's aqueducts down in South America. No one talks about that. Everyone said, well, the Romans made aqueducts. Yeah, they got them down there, too. How'd they get there? And what about those pyramids and all these other type structures that are over in Southeast Asia and China and stuff like that? Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, man. You're so clueless. You're so clueless. Well, one of those previous civilizations, they tried to tap the energy, like as in Tesla. And, I know there's some people out there that think Tesla is Elon Musk. No, Tesla is a car that Elon Musk, basically kind of semi-stole from the original GM car from the 90s. All right. Just made a different design. Took advantage of some, modern day technology. But basically, electric car is nothing new. There were electric cars over 100 years ago, well over 100 years ago. People don't even know that. But anyway, These guys were trying to the original Tesla, Nikola Tesla. All right. Well, he was into tapping into the natural energy. All right. Okay. And so these previous civilizations, and who knows, Tesla might have got his hands on some of that old knowledge. That's the whole thing. Because it's around. It's just being hidden. It's basically in the hands of most of the old world order has all that shit. All right? The Vatican archives, they're hiding it. It's people like the Illuminati, Rosicrucians, and the Masons who have it and are trying to share it, but nobody wants to fucking listen to them. All right? Because they think they're the enemy. It's like I said, you got you got everything backwards. All right? And so, Save America campaign is a fraud, is basically a diversion. Just like Build Back Better is a charade and a fraud. All right? And the Great Reset is hogwash. Because, the old world order's been in charge all along. They're just, like I say, they're just using us as pigs to clear the fields. And then to wipe out half or more of us. So people don't get any of this shit. Well, anyway, so these previous civilizations, because this 12,000 year catastrophe happens all the time. It's like clockwork. It's basically it's a nova. Talk to astrophysicists if they'll be honest with you. Stars nova all the time. It's not a supernova, the end of a star. That stuff happens. But there's novas all the time. Star remains. It just shoots out this outer shell. It's this major fucking thing. The planet is literally it's a extinction of a near extinction event catastrophe. And so the very few survivors that survive are the ones that end up rebuilding society. But that's why it's called myth and legends and tales, and they find things in caves and stuff. Because they're the only people who survive. And everything is pulverized, is either totally dissolved, melted, pulverized, right? It just doesn't, there is no remnant of civilization. Oh, there have been remnants of civilization, and there have been things preserved, but they're in the private collections of the old world order and hidden in the books and the Vatican archives and stuff like that. And you could learn a lot of this ancient knowledge if you want to study Rosicrucianism, and which leads you to the Illuminati and stuff like that. It's not like, some people think this what I'm talking about isn't based on anything. Well, anyway, I'm sure several of these, but at least one of these previous civilizations, the ones that built the Sphinx, I think it was 36,000 years ago. A couple cycles back, catastrophes back. They had the ideas as the Earth's field, they knew the magnetic field was weakening the energy because these societies were based on Earth energy, right? They were less materialistic than we were, and they lived life, they were very happy, and they lived life, the bounty of the planet, the beauty of life, existence, and all of that sort of thing. But they had technology. They just used the natural technology that existed on the planet. It's like the Earth has given us everything we need, but people think they've got to create artificial stuff, right? It's like if there's guys, when they do, people astral project, right? The CIA has those people that can see things, during the Cold War, right? All, see what the Russians are up to and stuff, all those mind experiments, right? But it's like, all those things, that's all real stuff, it's all documented. It's scientific, right? Yeah. Well, anyway, these guys were figuring, okay, if we put enough of these obelisks, if we could tap this Earth's power, we can boost the magnetic field and, in effect, kind of build a force field around the Earth. And so when this solar outburst comes at us, we could actually be protected because that's how we are normally. See, normally our magnetic field is what shields the Earth from cosmic rays and the really bad stuff that comes from the sun. See, you don't even know that. A lot of people don't even understand that part, what the role that the atmosphere plays. Forget about this fucking CO2, 0.004 CO2, for crying out loud. It's what plants breathe. And so they thought that they could do this thing. And they started building these obelisks. They started doing this stuff. That's what the Great Pyramid was. The Sphinx was okay, now. So they got to the point where they couldn't finish it in time. They started seeing the signs. Like, we're starting to see the signs now. So they knew it was too close and there was no way they could finish the project to save the planet, to build this shield. All right? And so they built the Sphinx, which originally had a lion's head on, pointed to Leo, constellation Leo. And that was a warning to the next civilization to say, look, this thing's going to happen at this time. Take our lead. They hid this stuff in these things I showed you at like the Serapeum and stuff like that. Right? And all these secrets and warnings about this stuff. And instead, these British explorers and these European plunderers and these Vatican psychopaths who are trying to manipulate and control people through, organized religion, which they just manufactured, basically hid that stuff or burned the fucking thing. It's like destroyed the stuff, all this information in the Library of Alexandria, like twice. And so here we are, right, on the cusp, and it's happening again. A magnetic field is weakening by the day. All right? The sun, all indications are this thing is going to happen sometime within the next 10, 20 years. And I say within the next 10 to 20 years could mean the next 10 minutes. Do you understand that? You dumb fuck. Oh, we got 20. He said 10, 20 years. Okay, so we got 20 years. Why are humans so fucking stupid and you always take like the last possible date? No. Anytime within the next 10, 20 years. That means it could be 5 minutes from now, you fucking moron, stupid, dumb, fucking idiot. So go mow your fucking lawn, collect more little objects dart, play your little fucking games, pay your high taxes, pay no attention to what BlackRock's doing and these other companies are doing and buying up neighborhoods. What the old world order is doing, not the new world order, right? Right? Watch your little TV news anchors and have fantasies and what are you doing? Masturbating to these lesbian women on MSNBC or something? I mean, what the fuck? They're lying sons of fucking bitches who are making, $20 million a year to be news readers who are spouting out fucking lies, you dumb fucking idiots. Jeez. Anyway. And the gays are just as bad as the lesbians and the straights and whatever else. So don't even try to go somewhere with that. I really don't give a fuck what you are. All I'm saying is forget about it. They're all fucking crazies.
All your life you will remember this night. And you'll know whom you have turned loose upon the world.
You fucking fools. Solid gold, baby. Another solid gold. Thank you very much. I'm going to leave now. Because you guys are such fucking idiots, I don't even give a flying fuck. Why'd you prove me wrong? Buy some shirts. Get the shirt. Everything you know is wrong, or you don't know what you don't know, or prepare. Get yourself some great solar stuff. Right? You're going to need it, you dumb fuck. They're coming for you. They're coming to get you. You better get the sun out in the sun and get your immune system up and all that stuff, because they're trying to kill more than half the people on this fucking planet. Wake up. TonyCaravanLive.com, rockflux.com. If you take offense to anything I said, well, it was intentional. All right?